2 missiles, 2 superpowers, 1 question: whose system actually wins? The United States has the Patriot, Russia has the S-400. One is proven, one is promising, and the gap between. Those two things could mean the difference between a city standing and a city in ruins. Today we're breaking down every major category from radar range, missile types, kill rate, operational design, and cost to figure out which system actually deserves to be called the best air defense on the planet. Let's get into it. Before we score anything, you need to understand what each system was built for, because that reason shapes everything. The Patriot was born in the Cold War. Raytheon built it as a replacement for aging American air defense systems that were becoming dangerously obsolete against Soviet threats. It started as an anti-aircraft system, and its job was to shoot down planes. Simple enough. Then came the 1991 Gulf War, and everything changed. Iraqi Scud missiles were raining down on Saudi Arabia and Israel. Patriot was rushed into service to intercept them. The results were messy. Some intercepts worked, but many didn't. The world watched on live television, and the U.S. military took the lessons hard. So the engineers upgraded to the PAC-3, or the Patriot Advanced Capability 3 upgrade. The engineers didn't just patch the old system. They rebuilt the missile from the ground up, specifically designed to physically destroy ballistic missiles mid-flight. The Gulf War failure became the fuel that drove one of the most significant weapons upgrades in American military history. Russia's S-400 story is different. The Soviet Union had long relied on the S-300 family of air defense systems, but by the 1990s, the threat landscape had shifted dramatically. Stealth aircraft were becoming real, cruise missiles were getting smarter, and hypersonic weapons were on the horizon. Russia needed something new, something that could reach further, engage more threats simultaneously, and survive on a modern battlefield against adversaries who would try to jam it, destroy it, or fly around it. That's how the S-400 Triumph entered Russian service in 2007. And unlike Patriot, which evolved through painful combat experience, the S-400 was designed from the start as a next-generation system with future threats in mind. Two very different origin stories. Patriot was forged in failure and rebuilt stronger. The S-400 was engineered for a future war it hadn't yet fought. Now let's look under the hood. The Patriot system is built around 5 key components. The radar set, which are its eyes. The engagement control station, its brain, where operators monitor threats and authorize launches. The launcher stations, which are the muscle, holding multiple interceptors ready to fire. An antenna mast group for communications, and the interceptor missiles themselves. What makes Patriot's design elegant is integration. One radar does everything from searching the sky, identifying what it finds, tracking targets, and guiding missiles to intercept them. The military calls this a detection-to-kill system. Detect the threat, kill the threat, all from a single coordinated unit. It's streamlined, efficient, and it's been refined through decades of operational use. The S-400 goes in the opposite direction, and intentionally so. Instead of one integrated unit, it uses a distributed architecture. You have a command and control post as the brain. You have launch vehicles, which are large trucks, each carrying multiple missiles as the muscle. And crucially, you have several different radars, each dedicated to a specific job and a specific range of threats. These components are spread out, connected, and coordinated through the command post. This distributed design has a real tactical advantage: survivability. If an enemy destroys one radar, the system keeps working. If you lose one launcher, the others continue firing. With Patriot, the single radar is both its strength and its vulnerability. Take it out, and the system is blind. But Patriot's simplicity is also a strength. There are fewer moving parts, it's faster to deploy, and easier to maintain. And critically, easier to integrate with allied forces and other defense systems. So which one wins? Patriot wins on simplicity and integration. S-400 wins on survivability. Neither takes a clear advantage. This is where the gap on paper becomes dramatic. The Patriot uses a passive, electronically scanned array radar. It tracks up to 100 targets simultaneously within a range of about 93 miles or roughly 150 kilometers. For most battlefield scenarios, that's serious capability. One unit doing everything reliably. Electronically, the S-400 brings 3 specialized radars to the fight, and the numbers are staggering. The 96L6E radar is designed to catch low-flying threats such as cruise missiles hugging the terrain, fighter jets flying in at low altitude to duck under conventional radar. It can do this out to 186 miles, already double the Patriot's range. The Gravestone radar, and yes, that's actually its NATO reporting name, is specifically built to track ballistic missiles and stealth aircraft. Range is approximately 249 miles. Then there's the Big Bird Acquisition radar. This system can detect and identify up to 300 targets simultaneously at ranges up to 373 miles, nearly 4 times the Patriot's radar range. On paper, the S-400's radar network sees further, covers more threats, and is harder to knock out because it's spread across multiple units. But here's where we have to be honest. Those numbers come from Russian state sources. They haven't been tested against a sophisticated adversary in real combat. And there's one moment that haunts the S-400's radar reputation. Israel has conducted hundreds of airstrikes in Syria, operating F-35 stealth fighters, while Russian S-400 systems were present in the region, and not one F-35 was ever engaged. Not one was shot down. Either Russia chose not to fire, or the radar wasn't as capable against stealth as claimed. So who's the round 3 winner? S-400 on claimed specs. Because real-world combat hasn't validated these claims. A defense system is only as good as what it fires. Let's talk missiles. Patriot carries 2 main interceptors. The PAC-2 uses proximity fusing, which means it explodes near the target and destroys it with shrapnel. It's effective against aircraft and some missiles, but against ballistic missiles traveling at massive speeds, a near miss isn't always a kill. Then there's the PAC-3, and this is where Patriot gets genuinely lethal. The PAC-3 uses hit-to-kill technology. It doesn't explode near the target. It physically slams into it at hypersonic speeds. Imagine firing a bullet to intercept another bullet mid-flight. That is what the PAC-3 does, and it does it consistently. The latest version, the PAC-3 MSE, is specifically optimized against tactical ballistic missiles, the fastest and most dangerous threats on the modern battlefield. The S-400 offers 4 different missile types, giving operators flexibility to match the weapon to the threat. The 40 N6E is the reach weapon, which is capable of engaging targets up to 249 miles away. This is a game changer. At that range, the S-400 can threaten the high-value support aircraft that modern air forces depend on: AWACS surveillance planes, aerial refueling tankers, airborne command posts. These assets typically operate safely far behind the front lines. The S-400 puts them at risk in a way no previous system could. The 48 N6DM handles medium-range threats out to 155 miles. The 9M96 is built for highly maneuverable targets, and it's effective out to 75 miles. And the shorter-range 9M96E covers closer threats at around 25 miles. Russia claims the S-400 achieves a 98% kill rate. Patriot, when batteries are paired together, claims 80 to 90%. Here's the critical difference. Patriot's numbers have been tested in the Gulf War and in Saudi Arabia against Houthi missiles, in multiple real engagements across the Middle East. But the S-400's 98% claim, it comes from Russian military publications. It has never been put to a real test against a sophisticated adversary firing real missiles. Round 4 winner, Patriot. Missile variety goes to S-400. Yes, but combat-proven performance goes to Patriot. Understanding how these systems operate in a real engagement tells you a lot about their real-world effectiveness. When Patriot engages a threat, the sequence is tight and fast. The radar detects the incoming target and immediately begins tracking it. Data flows instantly to the engagement control station, where operators assess the threat either hostile or friendly, within range, dangerous enough to engage. Once the call is made, the system fires 2 missiles in a ripple, timed precisely 4.2 seconds apart. 2 shots at the same target. If the first missile misses or is defeated by a maneuvering target, the second is right behind it. This layered approach is why Patriot's real-world success rates are as high as they are. You don't bet everything on one shot. The S-400's engagement process is more complex, which is both a strength and a potential weakness. The multiple radars detect and classify the incoming threat from different angles. That data is passed to the command command and control post where operators assess the situation and select the right missile for the job, either short range, medium range, long range, depending on what's coming. The engagement radar then takes over, providing precise terminal guidance to steer the selected missile to impact. The distributed architecture means the S-400 can theoretically handle multiple different types of threats from multiple directions simultaneously. In a complex, saturated attack environment where dozens of missiles and aircraft are coming from different vectors, that flexibility is genuinely valuable. But complexity has a cost. More components mean more things that can go wrong. More steps in the decision loop mean more potential for delay. Patriot's streamlined process is designed for speed and reliability under pressure. So what's the verdict? Round 5 winner is Patriot. In real combat, speed and reliability under pressure matter more than theoretical flexibility. A single Patriot battery runs approximately $1.1 billion. And that's before you factor in training, logistics, maintenance contracts, and the cost of the missiles themselves. Individual PAC-3 interceptors cost several $1 million each. Fire 12 of them in a single engagement and you've spent tens of millions of dollars in minutes. At scale, operating Patriot is extraordinarily expensive. The S-400 comes in significantly cheaper. A complete system of launchers, multiple missile types, associated radars, training, and maintenance is estimated between $500 million and $700 million. That's a 40 to 60% discount compared to Patriot. For countries with limited defense budgets, that gap is the difference between being able to afford meaningful air defense coverage and not. This cost difference is a real part of why Turkey, a NATO member with access to Western systems, chose to purchase the S-400, triggering one of the biggest diplomatic crises in the alliance's recent history. The savings were simply too significant to ignore, but cost has to be weighed against value. A cheaper system that doesn't perform as advertised in combat is not a bargain. An expensive system with a proven kill record might be worth every dollar. So the round 6 winner is definitely S-400 on purchase price. But value is determined by what you get for the money and will factor that into the final verdict. This is the round most comparison videos skip, and it might be the most important one of all. Choosing the Patriot isn't just a weapons purchase, it's a declaration of strategic alignment. Nations that operate Patriot plug into the American-led global defense network. Their systems communicate with American Aegis naval defense. They're also compatible with THAAD, or Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, the system designed to intercept ballistic missiles at even higher altitudes, which Patriot can't reach alone. They train alongside American forces, share intelligence, and become part of an ecosystem that has been built and refined for decades across dozens of allied nations. This interoperability is worth an enormous amount. In a real conflict, you're not fighting alone. Your air defense talks to your allies' air defense. The network multiplies the effectiveness of every individual battery. The S-400 offers none of that. It's a standalone system. It doesn't integrate with NATO's air defense architecture or share data with Western allies. In fact, the reason the United States pressured Turkey so hard over its S-400 purchase was fear that the system's sensors could gather intelligence on NATO aircraft, particularly the F-35, and transmit that data back to Russia. Buying the S-400 means accepting isolation from Western military networks. It means relying on Russian support, Russian spare parts, and Russian maintenance for a critical national security asset. Ask Ukraine how that calculation worked out for the nations that relied on Soviet-era equipment when Russia decided to stop being a partner. The round 7 winner is Patriot, and by a large margin. Strategic integration and alliance interoperability are force multipliers that no spec sheet can capture. We've gone 7 rounds. Here's the scorecard. S-400 wins on radar range if you trust the numbers Russia publishes. S-400 wins on missile variety, offering more options for more threat types. S-400 wins on purchase price, coming in hundreds of millions of dollars cheaper. Those are real advantages, and it would be dishonest to dismiss them. But Patriot wins on combat-proven performance, which is the only metric that matters when real missiles are incoming. Patriot wins on operational reliability, a streamlined system that's fast, Dependable and built for pressure, Patriot wins on strategic value, plugging operators into a global network of allied defense systems that multiplies effectiveness beyond what any standalone battery can achieve. And there's one data point that cuts through all the spec sheet noise more cleanly than anything else. The S-400 was in Syria. Russian operators were present. Israeli F-35s flew overhead hundreds of times and not one was engaged. Not one was shot down. Russia says they chose not to fire to avoid escalation. Maybe. But if the most advanced stealth fighter in the world can operate freely in airspace covered by the S-400, either the radar isn't as effective against stealth as advertised, or the missile isn't as capable as claimed, or both. Meanwhile, Patriot batteries in Saudi Arabia have intercepted Houthi ballistic missiles. Patriot batteries in the Middle East have knocked down cruise missiles and drones in real engagements. The S-400 is a serious system. Its specifications represent genuine engineering ambition and significant capability. In the hands of a sophisticated, well-trained military, it would be a formidable threat. But if you're asking which system you'd want protecting your city tonight, which system you'd trust with the lives of the people under it, the answer is the Patriot. Because in the world of air defense, promises don't intercept missiles. Proven systems do. If this breakdown gave you a clear answer, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel. Subscribe if you want more deep dives like this every week. And drop a comment below. Do you agree with the verdict? Or do you think the S-400 deserves more credit? Let's debate it. We'll see you in the next one.